Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport, where travelers are one stop away from world destinations. Connections on Delta Airlines to Atlanta are available daily. Close, convenient, CIRA. More at CIRA.com.
Town of Normal firefighters say there are challenges in responding to fires at big manufacturing facilities like Rivian. That's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Wednesday, June 26th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with a new report calling for 3 specific ways to improve access to early childhood education and child care in McLean County and neighboring counties. WGLT's Lauren Warnicki has more.
The new action plan comes from the Birth to 5 Illinois team representing Region 17, which includes Bloomington Normal. The first of 3 recommendations is to bring awareness to the lack of a living wage for people working in early childhood education and childcare. Birth to 5 Regional Manager Carol Weisheit says the average annual salary is about $27,000 a year.
So the very people who are educating our children are actually struggling in their own lives because they have to be on SNAP. They have to get assistance for a lot of other programs.
Another recommendation is to launch a public awareness campaign about the importance of early childhood education and childcare. Childcare is expensive and in some places hard to find available spots. That forces many households into keeping one of the parents home, even if that parent would prefer to re-enter the workforce. Weisheit says they want to engage the business community to address that disconnect.
Because if you don't have workers who have childcare, whether you're first shift, second shift, third shift, you're not going to have a workforce.
The final recommendation is to identify transportation barriers facing families in rural areas where limited transit options like show bus aren't built to handle what's needed. You can find a link to the Birth to 5 action plan at WGLT.org. For The Leadoff, I'm Lauren Warnicki.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. Rivian and Volkswagen have signed a deal on a joint venture. The 2 companies will share electric vehicle architecture and software. It also gives Rivian an expected $5 billion in capital. The public can weigh in on how Illinois State University is doing as part of the re-accreditation process that's now in its final stages. You can use an online form or mail your comments in to the Higher Learning Commission. And the volunteer group Hope Therapy Dogs has been recognized with Wishbone Canine Rescue's 2024 Community Heroes Award. You can find more on all these stories at WGLT.org. This spring, there were a couple of fires and evacuations at the sprawling Rivian plant in Normal. They were minor fires, but it still took a lot of time for the fire department. In this interview with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker, Normal Fire Chief Mick Humer talks about what firefighters have to do differently at a big manufacturing complex.
You can have a very small fire that can produce a lot of smoke, and because it's such a big area, it can take a long time to remove the smoke and other hazards that could be in the air.
Rivian has more than 1 million square feet under roof. In a structure that big, you're going to have different ways to attack a fire. Does that present coordinating challenges?
Well, part of the problem that we have at large manufacturing facilities is communication. That's always a problem whenever you have large structures, whether, it be at Rivian or be at ISU. In some of the buildings, some of the radio frequencies won't penetrate the buildings because, they're concrete or steel.
How have you solved those challenges in radio communication at Rivian?
We're working with Rivian to work with them to install some repeaters within the building. But, we've been having trouble at in ISU buildings for 25 years, and the problem is not solved. I mean, we do workarounds. A lot of the fire panels have phones on them, so you can pick up a phone on different floors and talk to the incident commander that's in the lobby, things like that.
Who's going to pay for the repeater at Rivian?
Rivian.
Is there a timeline for concluding talks and getting on that?
We don't have a timeline right now. Like I say, we have workarounds. I mean, we go to VHF frequencies that are point to point, so we don't have to use a repeater. It's not the problem inside the factory. It's the problem talking from the inside to the outside. Depending on what the incident is, we can move our incident commander inside the building. We can open large garage doors and everything that'll let the signal penetrate the building and things like that. So we're doing workarounds to make that happen.
Do robots or chemicals present challenges to firefighting at Rivian?
I don't think that the robots do. Obviously battery fires are an issue. The way it works with the batteries out there, they will have a cart that has car batteries on it. And if something starts to happen with the battery, it starts to run away or whatever, have a problem, overheat, the robot will go and pick up the battery, take it to a cooling tank or a dunk tank and drop it in there. The perfect way to cool it.
Obviously, Rivian's added a lot of square footage from the original Mitsubishi plant. Did any of the received wisdom from Mitsubishi and the experience the fire department had with Mitsubishi last and pertain today?
I think a lot of it does. One of our inspectors, our supervisor of inspections, came from Mitsubishi, worked out there for many years, in safety and fire prevention and everything like that. So he brings a vast knowledge. As far as building a plant that is a electric car manufacturer, that's kind of uncharted territory. I mean, these factories, there's not that many of them, and everybody is trying to do the right thing, and so it's kind of a live and learn as you move forward or whatever. But we've taken a lot of precautions with the building codes and everything that we've allowed them. How they build the building and everything, and they've been more than willing to work with us to even go above and beyond, in a lot of the paint booths and things like that are more concerning.
What are some of those measures that you did during construction?
There's blast walls out there, so if there'd be an explosion, the wall would blow out of the building and the explosion would not move into the building. The thickness of the fire-rated walls. Basically, a fire could burn 2 to 3 hours before it would burn through that wall, where in a typical home, it would burn through there in about 15 or 20 minutes.
That's Normal Fire Chief Mick Humer. He spoke with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker. Before we let you go, Bloomington residents are invited to a public meeting on how to spend federal housing and community development dollars. That is tonight at 5:30 at the Bloomington Public Library. The one for Normal residents is coming up July 11th. And that's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show is produced by Lou Warner. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.